Exosomes are one of the most exciting conversations happening in the regenerative aesthetics right now. Patients are asking for them, suppliers are selling them, and clinics across the country are adding them to their treatment menus as fast as they can. But before you go any further with exosomes in your practice, the FDA has a very specific answer to some important questions that every provider offering this treatment needs to know. As of October 2025, the FDA issued 12 warning letters related to exosome products. 0 FDA-approved exosome products exist for any therapeutic use in humans. And the enforcement actions being reported are not just going after manufacturers and distributors. They are following the product all the way to the clinic, offering it to patients. Your supplier's problem can very quickly become your liability. If you are currently offering exosome treatment, considering adding them, or if your patients are asking you about them, this video is going to give you the compliance picture that most providers in our space have never seen laid out clearly. In September of 2025, the FDA issued a warning letter to a company called New Life Medical Services. The FDA had inspected their facility in May of 2024 and found they were selling an exosome product called Rexo, classified as an unapproved new drug and an unlicensed biological product in violation of federal law. Here is the detail that every clinic owner on social media needs to hear. The FDA specifically cited their December 2024 Instagram post promoting Rexo Charge as part of the enforcement documentation. The post that they put up to market their product, that post is in the warning letter. And they are not alone. In late 2024, Evolutionary Biologics received a warning letter for their exoRNA product. In early of 2025, Chara Biologics was warned about their Chara Exo product. The FDA has been systematically working through the exosome market, and the enforcement is accelerating. Now, here's what I hear most often when this topic comes up. Clinic owners say, I am buying from a reputable supplier. They told me that their product is compliant. I am covered. But what compliance and legal experts working in regenerative medicine are consistently pointing out is that sourcing from a supplier does not transfer the compliance responsibility away from the clinic. If the product you are using is an unapproved biological, regardless of where you bought it, the clinic offering it to patients carries the exposure. That is the gap that most providers do not see until it is too late. Today, we are going to cover 3 things. First, what the FDA's position on exosomes actually means for your clinic, not the sales pitch version, the regulatory version. Second, the specific compliance gap that puts clinic owners at risk, even when they think they have done everything right. And third, and this is the one that most providers have never been told to ask, the 3 questions you need answered before you offer or continue offering any exosome treatments in your practice. Let's get into it. So let me give you the full picture on what happened with New Life Medical Services, because this case illustrates exactly how the enforcement pattern works. The FDA conducted a physical inspection of their facility in May of 2024. What they found was that the company was selling human products derived from umbilical cord tissue, amniotic fluid, and exosomes, including a product called Rexo, for use in patients without FDA approval. The warning letter issued in September 2025 formally classified these products as unapproved new drugs and unlicensed biological products in violation of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act and the Public Health Service Act. And then there is the Instagram detail. The FDA specifically referenced a post from their Instagram account dated December 19th of 2024, promoting a product called Rexo Charge as part of the enforcement documentation. The public-facing marketing of the product became part of the case against them. This is not an isolated incident. By October 2025, the FDA had issued 12 warning letters related to exosome products. The companies named included Evolutionary Biologics, cited in late 2024 for their exoRNA product, Chara Biologics, cited in early 2025 for their Chara Exo, an amniotic fluid-derived exosome therapy. Chimera Labs, cited in 2023 for distributing exosome products without an approved biologics license application. The FDA also issued a public safety notification specifically about exosome products following serious adverse events reported in patients. Those adverse events included severe infections, allergic reactions, and in some cases, tumor formation. This is not a gray area. The FDA's position is not ambiguous, and the enforcement is not slowing down. But here is what the enforcement pattern actually reveals. It is not just the manufacturers getting the letters. The FDA is following the product to wherever it is being used. And the supplier's compliance problem becomes the clinic's liability the moment that the product is administered to a patient. Here is the compliance gap that most med spa owners offering exosome treatments have never had explained to them clearly. Under the federal law, exosomes used to treat conditions or affect the structure or function of the human body are regulated as drugs and biological products, not as cosmetics, not as supplements, not as minimally processed tissue. As drugs and biological products, subject to the same pre-market review and approval requirements as any pharmaceutical. The reason for this classification comes down to the manufacturing process. Producing exosomes involves culturing cells and the isolating of the vesicles from the resulting media. The FDA considers this process to be what they call more than minimal manipulation of the source tissue. That classification automatically disqualifies exosome products from the less stringent regulatory pathway that applies to some other cellular and tissue-based products. It puts them squarely into the category of unapproved biological products that require FDA authorization before they can legally be administered to patients. And here is a line that compliance professionals working in regenerative medicine say most clinic owners have never heard stated this clearly. The only legal pathway for administering an exosome product for therapeutic purposes is under a formal FDA-authorized investigational new drug application, an IND, which means that the treatment must be part of a monitored FDA-approved clinical trial, not a standard med spa service, a clinical trial. If your supplier told you that their product is compliant, the question to ask is compliant under what pathway? Because without an IND, compliant is not actually an option under current federal law. Now here's where the safe sourcing confusion lives. Many suppliers are marketing their products with language designed to suggest regulatory compliance without actually having it. Terms like FDA registered, FDA compliant, or minimally manipulated are being used in ways that do not mean what most buyers assume they mean. Registration is not approval. Compliant language in a marketing brochure is not the same as the product that has cleared the FDA's review process. The FTC separately obtained permanent bans and monetary relief in 2024 and 2025 against promoters of unproven regenerative treatments, including stem cell and exosome adjacent products, for making unsubstantiated claims. So the enforcement is coming from both directions, FDA on the product side and FTC on the marketing side. Most clinic owners who are currently offering exosome treatments bought a product from a supplier who sounded credible and were told it was safe and legal. They were not given the full regulatory picture. And that gap, the space between what they were told and what the law actually requires, is where the exposure lives. Now you might be thinking, okay, so exosomes are in a very complicated regulatory space right now, and I need to be careful. And yes, that's right, but here is where most providers stop when they get this information. They either keep offering the treatment and hope for the best, or they pull it entirely without understanding what a compliant approach could actually look like. There is a third option, and it starts with 3 specific questions. When compliance and legal experts working in the regenerative medicine space describe what a properly informed approach to exosome offering looks like, 3 specific questions come up consistently as the starting point for any provider currently offering or considering these treatments. Question 1, does this product have an active FDA-authorized investigational new drug application? And can the supplier provide the IND number and the FDA acknowledgement letter confirming it? This is the foundational question. If the answer is no, or if the supplier pivots to language about being FDA registered or using minimally processed tissue, that is important information. Registration is not the same as an IND. And without an IND, the product is not authorized for therapeutic use under current federal law, regardless of how it is sourced or labeled. Question 2, what does the supplier's documentation actually say about how this product is classified manufactured, and tested. Compliance professionals generally recommend requesting the supplier's certificate of analysis, their manufacturing documentation, and specifically their quality and sterility testing records before any product is used in a clinical setting. This documentation matters both for patient safety and because it becomes part of your clinic's defensibility if a question is ever raised. Question 3. What does your own marketing about this treatment say? The New Life Medical Service case is the clearest example of why this matters. Their Instagram post promoting the product was cited in the FDA warning letter. Every claim your clinic makes about exosome treatments online, in consultations, in printed materials, is subject to FTC and FDA standards for health and medical claims. Languages like regenerates tissue, reverses aging, treats any condition, or clinically proven without documented clinical evidence behind it creates additional exposure on top of the sourcing question. If your supplier cannot answer questions 1 and 2 clearly and with documentation, that is your answer about the product. And if your marketing cannot hold up to question 3, that is a separate compliance issue that exists regardless of the sourcing. Knowing the right question is different from having the answers documented and on file. And for most clinics currently offering exosome treatments, the documentation piece is where the real gap lives. Here is what a practical review looks like for a clinic that is currently offering exosome treatments or seriously considering adding them. Step 1. Pause on the new marketing before you complete this review. You don't need to immediately pull every treatment or cancel every appointment. But before you post anything new about exosome services, before you run any promotions, before you say anything publicly about what these treatments do, give yourself the time to get the answers to those 3 questions on file. Step 2. Contact your supplier and specifically request their IND documentation, their certificate of analysis, and their position statement on the FDA classification of their product. Put this request in writing. Document that you asked. The response, or lack of one, tells you a great deal about the product and the supplier. Step 3. Have your current marketing and consultation language reviewed by a compliance professional who works in regenerative medicine. Not to make it vague or useless, but to make sure that the claims you are making are defensible under FTC and FDA standards. There is a way to talk about the potential of regenerative treatments that is both compelling and compliant. Most clinics just have not had anyone show them what that looks like. Most providers offering exosome treatments right now are not operating from a place of recklessness. They genuinely believe in the potentials of these therapies, and the science is promising. There are hundreds of clinical trials registered worldwide, but promising science and approved treatment are 2 different things right now. And the clinics that are navigating this responsibly are the ones who got clear on that distinction before an enforcement letter made it clear for them. You do not have to figure this out alone. In the beginning of this video, I told you that the FDA had a very specific answer to the questions every provider offering exosomes needs to ask. We just walked through what that answer is: the regulatory classification, the IND requirement, the safe sourcing confusion, and the 3 questions that separate informed providers from exposed ones. If you went through that and realized you are missing documentation or that your supplier has not been able to clearly answer those questions, you are not alone. That is a reality for a significant number of clinics currently offering these treatments. The market moved faster than the guidance, and most providers were sold a product before anyone ever explained the regulatory landscape clearly. Here is the truth about exosomes and compliance in med spas right now. Your supplier's compliance problem becomes your liability the moment you inject it. The enthusiasm around regenerative medicine is real. The science is moving fast. But the FDA's regulatory framework has not moved. 0 approved exosome products, a clear IND requirement, and 12 warning letters and counting. These clinics that will be able to continue offering cutting-edge regenerative treatments long-term are not the ones moving the fastest. They're the ones who built the compliance infrastructure first. If you want help reviewing your compliance approach to regenerative treatments in your practice, this is exactly the kind of work we do at ACE. The link is in the description below.